Okay, so imagine this scene. You've just been given the heaviest, most serious news of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you ask the most basic human question, right? The one your survival instinct immediately goes to.
What do I eat?
Exactly. What should I eat? How do I stop accidentally feeding this thing?
And then you get the most frustrating, just dismissive non-answer in the medical world.
Oh, I know this one.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Just eat whatever you want. Nutrition isn't a factor here.
That advice isn't just frustrating. I mean, based on everything we've been looking at, it is fundamentally and spectacularly wrong.
It is.
Depending on what's on your plate, you are either, unintentionally fueling the most aggressive, adaptive, unwelcome house guest ever,
Right.
or you are very deliberately locking its pantry, changing the password, and throwing away the key.
That's the core conflict we're tackling in this deep dive. I mean, we've poured trillions into cancer treatments, but the mortality rates, they're stubbornly stagnant.
They haven't really budged.
And a big part of the problem is that we've consistently failed to appreciate cancers. Well, its secret menu and its desperate, relentless survival tactics.
So if we don't get how it eats and how fast it adapts, we're basically fighting with one hand tied behind our back.
Exactly.
So our mission today is what? Nutritional sabotage. We want to understand cancer's metabolic weak links.
And the very first thing to internalize is that this is not one single monster. Cancer is highly heterogeneous.
It's not one disease.
Not at all. I mean, think of the word itself. Hetero means different. Genes means origin or type. We are dealing with an entire cast of metabolic villains.
All with their own needs.
All with distinct needs. And here's the slightly hopeful fact in all of this. Despite their aggression, cancer cells are inherently damaged. They are sick.
Sick but ruthless. So what's the origin story of this sickness?
Well, cancer cells, they started as normal cells, but somewhere along the line, their power plants, the mitochondria, they got damaged.
The cell's engine.
Right. And mitochondria are supposed to be these efficient, clean energy producers. When they break, the cell reverts to a dirty, ancient Plan B survival mode.
Okay.
It's called aerobic glycolysis. Basically, they just burn huge amounts of fuel really, really inefficiently.
So because they're running on this, degraded, quick and dirty system, they're always stressed.
Perpetually stressed and vulnerable. If only we knew where to push.
Okay, let's go to the pantry then.
Yeah.
If cancer is this metabolic shapeshifter trying to survive on broken equipment, what's on the menu for the average fast-growing tumor?
For the great majority of these aggressively proliferating cancers, they subsist primarily on two fuels. These are the usual suspects we have to think about cutting first. Number one is glucose, which, comes from sugars and carbohydrates.
And number two?
Number two is glutamine, which is an amino acid, a critical building block for them.
Right, so we always hear about cutting sugar, but cutting glutamine? That seems trickier. It's in everything, especially high-protein foods.
It is. And if that were the whole story, the strategy would be simple.
But it's not.
But it's not. Here is the central frustrating twist that just stops any single fixed diet from working long-term.
What happens?
The moment you start starving cancer of one fuel source, say glucose, it doesn't just fold up and die.
It adapts.
It looks around for an immediate alternative. It's the ultimate metabolic opportunist.
So what's the next thing it grabs when the glucose is gone?
This is where we see that adaptation kick in. If glucose is gone, certain tumors, especially, say, hormone-influenced cancers like breast or prostate, can switch dramatically to using lipids, fats.
Okay, so it starts burning fat. What else?
Others become particularly reliant on branched-chain amino acids, or BCAAs.
BCAAs. You hear about those all the time in the fitness world. So what are they technically?
Yeah.
Because people take these as supplements.
Right, and that can be a problem. They're essential amino acids, leucine, isoleucine, and valine. They're critical building blocks for protein, and they are huge drivers of cell growth signals.
So the very signals a tumor wants to hijack.
Exactly. Specific tumors, recognizing their urgent need to proliferate, exploit these BCAAs heavily. So if you're cutting carbs but still loading up on certain protein foods or fitness supplements,
You might be accidentally giving the cancer a perfect growth cocktail.
you might be.
And now for the finding that gives everyone whiplash. The one that complicates every single popular diet conversation.
Yeah.
The truth about the most aggressive late-stage cancers, which actually figured out how to use the fuel source many people use to starve the first two.
This is the ketone paradox. Aggressive, advanced cancers can adapt to use ketones as fuel
To build their cell membranes.
to build their cell membranes. And this realization, It just sucks. It really does. It seems completely counterintuitive to a ketogenic approach.
But it's crucial.
It's crucial because it proves you cannot pursue one fixed strategy for too long. If you stay on a single diet, the cancer just, it finds the new path and builds the machinery to exploit it.
Okay, so if we're dealing with a resilient shapeshifter, a fixed plan is useless. We need a rotating strategy, a sequence of nutritional shocks to prevent adaptation. We have to keep changing the combination lock on the pantry door.
Exactly, and that's strategy 1. Diet rotation, the confusion technique.
I like that.
The core insight here is that forcing the cancer cell to constantly switch its metabolic pathways is itself a strategy. It has to waste enormous energy rebuilding its metabolic machinery every single time you switch.
That's the vulnerability.
That is the vulnerability.
So tell us what that rotation actually looks like.
It has to be precise and it has to be tailored. For a lot of common cancers, like some breast, lung, colorectal, or head and neck cancers that just love glucose, the cycle often starts with an anti-glucose diet.
Something like a very strict ketogenic approach.
Very strict, for about 10 to 14 days.
And then, just as the cells have adapted to fat burning, you yank the rug out from under them.
Precisely. Before they get comfortable, you switch to an anti-glutamine diet, which tends to be mostly plant-based, low in those BCAA sources, for maybe 4 to 5 days.
And you just keep cycling.
You keep cycling. You starve the glucose burners, and then right before the glutamine burners fully activate, you switch and starve them.
You mentioned the timing is specific, though. How does a person figure out the exact timing? Is this based on complex metabolic testing, or are there, like, standard protocols?
That's a crucial question. The timing is paramount, and it does require personalization. There are established protocols for common cancer types, sure, but the timing is often fine-tuned based on frequent metabolic markers.
So blood work.
Blood work that shows what fuel source the tumor seems to be favoring at that moment. For example, if we look at melanoma, which is highly aggressive, the anti-glucose phase might only be 5 to 7 days.
That's short.
Before you must switch to the anti-glutamine phase for 7 to 10 days.
What if the cancer prefers lipids, like you said, with prostate cancer?
If it survives primarily on lipids, the rotation changes again. You might do an extremely short anti-glucose phase, maybe just 2 or 3 days, and then immediately switch to an anti-lipid diet.
Wait, hold on. If we're going anti-lipid, does that mean cutting all fats completely?
It means strictly reducing certain fats. Crucially, you can and you should allow healthy fats like omega-3 fatty acids.
Oh, interesting. Why those?
Because those specific fats seem to be actively anti-cancer. They don't feed the growth. In fact, they appear to be destructive to the cancer cell membrane, which is a key detail for that strategy.
So the duration and the rotation sequence, it all has to be tailored.
It has to be tailored to guarantee maximum stress on that specific cancer type.
Okay, that covers strategic diet rotation.
Yeah.
Strategy 2, you said, is the nuclear option, fasting.
Right. Intermittent fasting, restricting eating to a specific window, 2 meals or 1 meal a day, that's foundational. It starves the fuel lines and it triggers autophagy.
And autophagy, for anyone who needs a quick definition, is the body's deep cleaning and repair mode.
Right. It's when the body starts recycling old, damaged, unnecessary tissue. And since a cancer cell is, by definition, damaged tissue.
Autophagy is very bad news for the tumor.
Very bad news. And the longer you can push that fasting window, the better.
Now we have to resolve that ketone paradox we talked about. Because we see these anecdotes of stage HIV patients doing prolonged fasts a month, sometimes even longer. And it seems to have a devastating effect on the cancer. So if advanced cancers can use ketones from a diet, shouldn't prolonged fasting, which produces tons of ketones, be feeding the tumor? It feels like a total contradiction.
It feels like it. But this is the nuance that resolves that head scratcher. The key difference is in the systemic signals.
Okay.
When you consume a high-fat, low-carb diet, the ketones are fuel and building blocks that aggressive tumors can co-opt. But when you do a prolonged fast,
it's a different biological state.
It's a totally different state. The ketones produced are accompanied by massive hormonal shifts, dramatic drops in insulin and growth factors, and a huge spike in autophagy and other systemic anti-growth signals.
So it's not the ketones themselves, it's the entire environment that the fast creates.
Precisely. The systemic anti-growth signals completely overwhelm the cancer cell's ability to use that fuel. It might have the key to the ketone pantry, but the entire house is on lockdown and the security system is on full blast.
This sounds incredibly stressful, though, physically and psychologically.
Yeah.
If we're talking days or weeks of fasting, how do you stop the cancer from adapting to that pattern?
You cannot let it settle into any routine. Fasting has to be done erratically.
No predictable pattern.
Never. You might do a 48-hour fast 1 week, skip 2 weeks, then do a 72-hour fast, wait a week, and then go for 5 days. That strategic unpredictability keeps the tumor guessing.
And it ensures the adaptive machinery it tries to build is instantly useless.
Exactly.
So diet rotation and erratic fasting are the offense, the starvation tactics. But we also need a strong defense, right? Cancer is constantly trying to evade our immune system. What reinforces our natural protectors?
The first major defender, and this is a non-negotiable step, is maximizing vitamin D. It's super important for immune function, but here's the fascinating detail. Cancer cells actively sabotage their environment. They increase specific enzymes that degrade or physically block the receptors for vitamin D.
They're trying to blind the immune system.
They are literally trying to blind your immune system to their presence. It's chemical sabotage inside your own body.
So what do you do?
To penetrate those literal blockages, the recommendation is to keep your blood levels of vitamin D significantly higher than normal, ideally between 90 to 100 nanograms per milliliter. You force the signal through the blockade.
And what about just simple physical stress on the cancer?
You have to stress it out with oxygen and exercise. Exercise is key because it floods the body with oxygen, which is therapeutic for your healthy mitochondria, and directly inhibits the damaged pathway the cancer cells use.
And it does more than that.
It also releases something called myokines, which are molecules that basically tell your body, hey, time to repair and clean house.
Okay, and finally, let's revisit supplements. You mentioned there are specific tools we can use to help block these 3 main fuel sources, glucose, glutamine, and ketones, to help with the rotation.
That's right. Since the goal is to cut every single fuel line, there are specific agents, many from common compounds, that can help.
Like what?
Well, there are compounds that help inhibit glucose uptake, like berberine or some pharmaceutical analogs. Other supplements are known to specifically inhibit the transport of glutamine into the cell.
And for lipids.
And there are specific lipid blockers that can interfere with the cancer cell's ability to synthesize fats and build those membranes. They're all auxiliary weapons to support the main diet strategies.
This paints a picture that is so much more complicated than just eat healthy.
So much more.
It's not about doing one simple thing. It's about a personalized, constantly rotating, multi-pronged attack. Because cancer is relentlessly trying to survive. We have to be just as adaptive and unpredictable.
And this is why the advice for prevention, which is often a healthy, stable, low-carb diet with intermittent fasting, is worlds away from the complex rotational strategy required once cancer has taken hold.
It's a different game entirely.
It is. But the knowledge that you have these incredibly powerful strategic levers you can pull, regardless of any other treatments you pursue, that is profoundly empowering.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. If cancer is so profoundly adaptable that it will literally change its entire diet, its food preferences, and its survival tactics just to stay alive, what other parts of your life might be benefiting from an element of strategic, non-patterned unpredictability?
Something to think about.